What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Alex Pereira's next UFC fight date leaked. Earlier this month, Magomed Ankalaev teased a rematch with Alex Pereira this summer in Chicago. Since then, there's been no real word on when fans will get to see the two light heavyweights throw down. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. However, on Tuesday's episode of the Ariel Helwani Show, the Ankalaev-Pereira rematch may have been confirmed for the August pay-per-view card in Chicago, just like Ankalaev indicated a few weeks back. While talking about Poatan, Helwani said, Alex Pereira fought in October, he then came back in March and he's probably going to fight before him again and fight in August. Considering that fans are still waiting on Dana White to announce the UFC 317 headliner, there's no telling when the promotion will announce the UFC 319 main event, given that the card is still several months away. Of course, as Helwani indicated, Pereira likes to keep a pretty busy schedule, and given that he's coming off a loss, he's probably eager to run things back and reclaim the title. Belal Muhammad makes prediction for Della Maddalena. We're now less than 2 weeks away from UFC 315, where Belal Muhammad will look to defend the welterweight title against Della Maddalena. Ahead of the fight, Muhammad's sitting as a pretty comfortable betting favorite after his dominant performance against Leon Edwards. The way the champion sees things, when he and JDM share the octagon, the challenger will break within 3 rounds.
He'll break in 3.
While the expectation going into the fight is that the champion's grappling could prove to be the X factor come May 10th, JDM's grappling is nothing to scoff at. In a video that dropped this week, the challenger can be seen choking out Craig Jones, one of the best grapplers on the planet. With fight night rapidly approaching, Khamzat also took the opportunity to take some shots at the champ, despite the fact that he's next in line for a crack at the middleweight title. In a post on social media, Chimaev shared a picture of what appears to be some sort of a small pony, writing, "Bully B 170, where are you sticking your nose, pony?" Belal Muhammad responded to Khamzat and posted himself wearing a shirt that has a Belal versus Khamzat poster on it with the caption, "Go into middleweight." Do you want to see Belal Muhammad versus Khamzat Chimaev? And who do you think would win? Let us know in the comments below. Joaquin Buckley insane body transformation before UFC Atlanta. Joaquin Buckley revealed his new bulked up physique just 7 weeks out from the main event at UFC Atlanta against Kamaru Usman. He says that he's in the best shape he's been in a long time, and to be fair, he's ripped. Here's the clip.
Your boy swole. Your boy big as hell right now. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a little nervous, y'all. Hold on, get this weight down. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. I need some help, nigga. Help me take this shirt off. I get this shirt. Help me take this.
Thank you.
Thank you. You see your brother struggling, you gotta help him. Right there, man. Like, bro, this the best shape I done been in the longest time. Y'all thought 2024 was crazy, man. Bro, we been clocked in, bro. And we've been working towards something this whole time. Yet again, we here to take the throne. But I feel like my pursuit in becoming a world champion has changed me, has molded me, not to be just a better fighter, but to be a better human being, you know? Because to be a world champion, bro, you know, you gotta be bigger than just a fighter, you know? Like, you have to have your life in order, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to create almost a lifestyle, right? Where you're not just out partying, you doing wasting time. Like, you gotta be dedicated to the craft, you know what I mean? Matter of fact, not even dedicated, you gotta be enslaved to it, you know? Like, you gotta pretty much sacrifice your life in order to get to this type of point, you know? And a lot of people don't know how hard I work, but it's gonna be shown. All the results is gonna speak for themselves when I step into that cage.
UFC fight updates. Heading into this weekend's Sanhagen-Figueiredo card in Des Moines, let's take a look at today's UFC fight updates, starting with a short notice change for the UFC 315 card on May 10th. According to Alex Bahunin, Daniel Santos will now collide with Jung Lee after Gavin Tucker withdrew from the card. The fight will now see Lee look to bounce back from a loss to Haider Amil last summer. On the flip side, Daniel Santos will look to successfully return after a 2-year-long hiatus. Next up, we have a new addition to the UFC Vegas 107 card, with Jordan Levitt set to fight Kurt Holobaugh. The fight will see Levitt look to bounce back from a loss to Chase Hooper in November of 2023. On the flip side, Holobaugh will look to bounce back from a loss to Alexander Hernandez this past March. Next up, we have a clash of Ultimate Fighter champions, with Michael Chiesa set to fight Court McGee on the UFC Fight Night Atlanta card on June 14th. In this fight, Chiesa will look to build on a 2-fight winning streak that most recently saw him submit Max Griffin at UFC 310. On the other side, McGee will look to build on a submission win of his own over Tim Means in October. And last but not least, we got an update on Islam Makhachev, who had been rumored to be on the UFC 317 card. According to a video going around online, while he was offered a fight on the card, he had to turn it down because he's still recovering from being sick. Sean Brady confused about UFC welterweight division. After picking up a big victory over Leon Edwards in London, Sean Brady took the former champion's place as the #1 ranked welterweight on UFC.com. Despite that, Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is ranked #2 right now, is believed to be next in line after Della Maddalena gets his crack at the title. On top of that, Brady's expecting the winner of the Kamaru Usman Joaquin Buckley fight to call for a crack at the title as well. During the latest episode of the Brady Bags show, the top-ranked contender weighed in on the logjam of contenders at 170.
Whoever wins that fight is going to say that they deserve a title shot. I'm like, I'm #1. I get a title shot. You got Ian Gary saying he gets a title shot. You got Shavkat thinking he's getting a title shot. So it's going to be interesting to see how the next couple.
Is that bothering you at all, or I'm not even?
No, if I have to fight before the belt, like I've been saying, I don't care.
You don't care, right?
And hopefully it'll be me and Ian if I don't get the next title shot. I'll like to fight Ian. We get the same manager, Lloyd. But Belal, I think if Belal goes and wins, there's a very good chance me and him are fighting. Like there's a storyline there.
Yeah, there is.
So I think that's if Belal goes and does his job, like I think it's a very good chance I'm fighting for the belt.
That's one thing that
if Jack wins, like Islam could be moving up, things could get a little bit different there. So yeah, we'll see.
Of course, Brady also hasn't been too happy with Ian Gary calling for a crack at the title after his win over Carlos Prates. Considering that Prates went into the fight ranked #13, Brady doesn't think that Gary deserves to jump the line, even if he does wind up weighing in as the backup fighter for the Belal Muhammad JDM title fight on May 10th. With plenty of exciting contenders at 170, it'll be interesting to see how things shake out here. Matt Brown not happy with UFC fighters revealing retirement fights. Over the years, Dana White has gone on record as saying that when a fighter starts to think about retirement, it's probably time to hang up the gloves. Longtime MMA vet Matt Brown seems to agree with this sentiment. During the latest episode of The Fighter vs. the Writer, the Immortal weighed in on fighters like Anthony Smith and Robbie Lawler announcing their retirement fights, explaining that going into the octagon with one foot already out of the cage is a dangerous idea, and it's something that was at the forefront of his mind when he decided to walk away from fighting several years ago. The UFC has not had anyone from a fight that I know of, but it happens. Our life is truly on the line in there, and I don't think it's a good thing to go in with a foot out the door, which was a part of my retirement. I was like, if I've got a foot out, I'm not going to go in there with a guy with both feet in. You're risking a lot, especially when you've got kids and stuff. That's why I'm not such a fan of guys planning their retirement fight. I get it, some guys like Robbie Lawler, they handle it well and still go out there and get it done. But I think when you've already got a foot out the door, you're probably going to be fighting a guy with 2 feet in the door, so it's going to be a problem. As the old saying goes, you either walk away on your own terms and retire, or the sport retires you. Charles Oliveira's manager wants Islam Makhachev to vacate the belt if he moves up to 170. Heading into the UFC 315 card on the 10th, the expectation is that if Belal Muhammad successfully defends the welterweight title, then Islam Makhachev will stay at 155 and defend his title against Ilia Topuria. But if Muhammad loses, then the expectation is that Islam Makhachev will move up to fight JDM in the hopes of winning a second title. The way Charles Oliveira's manager, Diego Lima, sees things, if Makhachev moves up to 170, he should vacate the title, or the UFC should create an interim title. During an interview with Guillaume Cruz, Lima weighed in on the lightweight title picture. If Makhachev goes up, then he loses the belt. It's like Topuria. I think the UFC will ask him to choose. If he says, I'll fight at 170, then they'll have to create an interim. I can't put a whole division on hold. Personally, I think it's absurd to hold an entire division. When an athlete goes up, he has to either drop his belt or create an interim. When a fighter starts to take too long thinking what he'll do, then it's time to create an interim. The division must move. Fighters fight a lot to get to the belt, and when they get there, they want to sit on the belt. It shouldn't be like that, man. With the UFC 317 card in June right around the corner, if the UFC were to have Ilia Topuria fight someone like Charles Oliveira for the interim title, you'd think that the promotion would have to let him know ASAP so that he could start training as well. So far, however, all we know is that both Topuria and Makhachev have started training for their next fights. UFC 317 main event gets leaked by Insider. Last week, Chael Sonnen went from saying that a John Jones-Tom Aspinall fight was nearly a done deal to saying that Aspinall would be fighting Ciryl Gane. At the time, the MMA community was skeptical of the news, but now Dean Thomas is breathing new life into the rumors of an Aspinall-Gane fight. During an appearance on The Bonfire, Thomas said that he thinks Aspinall will defend the interim title against Ciryl Gane on the UFC 317 card, despite the fact that Aspinall has already defended the interim belt once.
Sitting here, if you had to put your money on it, what do you think is the headliner of UFC 317?
If I had to put my money on it, I think they convinced Tom Aspinall to fight Ciryl Gane. I think if I had to put my money on it, I think that's the one that's being this far out. Like we're a couple weeks away. And
it's 2 months.
Yeah, we're 2 months out. And I think that they'll throw a number. Like Tom wants to fight and he'll be like, all right, I'll fight. And I think they'll throw a number at Ciryl Gane. It won't be ideal for him, but they'll throw a number that he can't refuse and he'll have to take it. And I think it makes more sense that way.
And before we continue, we have a favor to ask. Help us reach 200,000 subscribers on MMA Zone by subscribing and turning on notifications for daily MMA content. Seriously, we rarely miss a day. While initially the hope had been that Jones and Aspinall would throw down in a title unification bout on the UFC 317 card, reports then emerged that Jones was apparently pushing for a 6-month training camp for a potential fight against Tom Aspinall. The way Dean Thomas sees things, Jones has had plenty of time to prepare, and now it's starting to feel like he's stringing the MMA community along.
He says he needs more time to prepare. I mean, it's not like he didn't know about this for the last 2 years. Like we knew about this. He knew about this before the Stipe fight that he'd eventually have to fight Tom Aspinall. So the more and more time that passes, the more and more I think that John is just pulling us along and may not ever take this fight.
Lots of notable names in the MMA community weren't too happy with the news from Dean Thomas saying that Aspinall would fight Ciryl Gane at UFC 317. Luke Thomas went on X and said, "Unbelievable. I mean, I think Dean is telling the truth as best he understands it, but this entire situation is unbelievable." Aaron Bronstetter from Sportsnet said the following on X: "If this ends up being the case and it's for the undisputed title because John needs more time to make a decision, then this isn't a problem. Aspinall has been left hanging for far too long. Let the division move on." With everything happening, what are your thoughts on the situation? With Jon Jones wanting 6 months to train for the Tom Aspinall fight, which was reported by Ariel Helwani, to Jon also filming for movies, it's possible we don't see this matchup happen for a while. As for UFC 317, if they make Tom Aspinall defend his interim belt against Ciryl Gane, would you be excited to see that as one of the headliners for UFC 317? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.